Welcome back. You have tuned into Women's AM. This morning I am joined by Sister Liz, Sister Nazia and our special guest, Sister Zara Faris. How are you, Sister?
Alhamdulillah.
It's always great to have you back, one of our regular guests, mashallah.
It's good to be here.
You know, we talk about a lot of the things that you're involved in. Tell us a bit about the travels that you're involved in at the moment, because you mentioned something about going to Singapore.
Yeah, sure. So when I started with MDI, which was a couple of years ago, most of my public speaking was in the UK, so up and down the country, particularly around time of Islam awareness season, etc. But of late, it's been more global. So I've had a lot of invitations from around the world. So I went to New Zealand, went to Malaysia, went to Germany, went to Ireland, and inshallah I'll be going to Singapore later this year.
With you.
Inshallah, you're most welcome to join me. But it's really amazing how in this age your work which is done online, things which you put out online can be accessed worldwide, and people can take an interest in that, and that's one of the amazing things.
One of the interesting things about actually being there is you actually seeing the result of the things that you talk about. What is the reaction of people when you go to these different countries? Because it must be very different to how it is here.
Well, every country is different a little bit, but the Muslim thinking is the same everywhere. Yeah. So when we go to, for example, Malaysia, people are very receptive and they understand the premises of what we're talking about. They understand the basis. So you don't really have to go back to basics and explain what is Islam. And so it gives you more freedom to enjoy the subject for what it is and to discuss these things with more prospects of how to improve in the future and how these things can be used for the betterment of society. So,
Alhamdulillah. So is that one of the things that you'll be doing a lot at the moment, travelling?
I have been doing that a lot at the moment. Only Allah knows if that will...
So we've got you here, grounded here in the UK now.
You've got me here for the time being. You're not getting rid of me that easily.
We don't want to get rid of you. So let's go now on with the show and go straight to her views, where today we'll be discussing, is feminism compatible with Islam? Feminism has been a hot topic within society, and especially within the Muslim community. Some Muslim women who may experience struggles due to their genders are looking into feminism as means of liberating them and achieving equality. But can true equality be achieved through the adoption of feminism? And what does Islam say on the issue of women and gender? As always, this is a live discussion show with the sisters on the panel, and we would love to know what you think. Please do call the studio to put your comments or questions to the panel. The number is on your screens now, or you can tweet us at Islam Channel, #WAM15. So, sisters, I know you're really keen to get into this discussion. Look at you. But I'm going to come to Sister Zara Faris first. You're looking at me, come to me first, come to me first. But no, we're going to go to our guest first, okay. Sister Zara. It is a really important topic, feminism, but I think sometimes everyone seems to sort of have their own definition of it. So I think it's important to begin with what it means. So is there a definition for feminism, and can it actually be defined?
Well, there are a lot of different definitions. However, there are a few key ingredients that come out in all of those definitions. One of them is the idea of there being a patriarchy or a male-dominated society or a male-dominated history which has somehow affected women. So this is what many feminists would describe as one of the premises of their beliefs. And after that, there are many different varieties of how feminism can manifest. And so there are scores of definitions. The most, perhaps, simplest definition, which many people cite when you're asked what does feminism mean, is the dictionary definition, which refers to the equal rights of men and women in political, economic and social spheres. So there are many manifestations of feminism, but at the heart of it, it's this idea that women have for a long time been sort of gotten the raw end of the deal, which is what is claimed, and so feminism is apparently a counter movement to that. But there's an important thing that we have to establish before I think we go into this topic, and that is that feminism is not synonymous with women's rights. So when people discuss feminism or its merits, they're not necessarily having a go at the idea of women's rights itself. So it's important to separate those two things out, because as Muslims, we, for example, are concerned with the rights of both men and women. And so this is not really up for, the issue which is up for discussion. It's really what are the merits of feminism in of itself, and does this really make sense for us?
Yeah. Sister Liz.
I mean, I think, you obviously, Zara's kind of given a really comprehensive description of feminism and its meaning. And I think when we kind of look at it in those terms, equality, for the sexes, equal opportunities to education and, employment in terms of pay and prosperity and that kind of thing, these are all good things. And obviously, I think as women, these are all things that we want and we want to strive for and we want to enjoy in our societies. And, obviously we can't argue with that. But I think when we look at feminism, everything comes from somewhere, okay? So where does feminism come from? Look back into the feminism movement, into the 1960s, look into the kind of, social environment out of which this was born. Why did women need to fight for this equality in the first place? Why wasn't it just given to them? How are women trying to achieve this equality? And I think quite importantly, how is the success of feminism being measured? If it is being measured at all, because it can be quite an ambiguous term. And I know obviously these are things we're going to, sort of deal with throughout the segment, so I don't want to go too much into it now, but I think when using these words and when kind of using these labels, it's important that we do
basically
look at the
that we understand where
it's come from.
The context in which it's come from. In order to understand anything, we really need to understand what its history is.
Absolutely.
But the interesting that we're discussing here is its place in Islam also. I think so. This is a question that often arises: is feminism actually compatible with Islam, Sister Nazia?
I think firstly the 7 points to look at. Feminism, like Sister Zara said. It seeks to work for the rights of women only. But when you look at Islam, Islam provides justice, and it's an all-encompassing one where it addresses men's, women, children, society, even environment, animals. It's a comprehensive system. So this issue, and not only is it a comprehensive system, but it's not discriminatory. So to kind of compare the two, I mean, I can't even reconcile the two, to be honest. The other issue to bear in mind is that there is this kind of narrative that somehow Muslim women need to be saved from oppression, from Islamic laws. They need to be liberated, and the avenues by which that is suggested is, for example, through feminism or through liberal values. And I think this is something that we've got to be careful, because our roles, our responsibilities, who we are as Muslim women, our legislations have already been defined for us, and this has been done so by our Creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So actually we're not in the same position that, say, a feminist might be, because they are living in a society, in a sphere where they are on a daily basis facing a discrimination. But what we are facing is the fact that it's not an issue that we need to legislate as they need to. It's not that they need to find who they are, where their position within society is, what their relationship to men is. For us, it's all been defined. The issue for us, where we are facing discrimination, it's simply because it's not being implemented. Yeah, so all the laws that govern and protect us which is enshrined within the Shara, this is not being implemented right now. So I think this is a big, huge factor that we need to sort of think about. And also this whole think of like...
I think hold that thought, because we're going to come back as we're going to go off to a break. Hold it, don't forget it. We will come back to you, inshallah. So far, the discussion has been very informative, but we will be going for a short break now. But just before that, a reminder of this week's competition.